seen this woman, an intense search is underway tonight for a missing 25-year-old from Calumet County.
To Green Bay, they're hoping to locate Teresa's car, which they say is a major key in their investigation.
Police say Teresa Halbach's cell phone and credit cards have not been used since Monday.
The story revolves around Stephen Avery, who was released from prison after being wrongfully convicted of rape, but 2 years later was charged with the murder of Teresa Halbach. The documentary, Making a Murderer, explores the possibility of whether he was framed or if he genuinely committed the crime. Halbach was a photographer who went missing after visiting Avery's auto salvage. Her vehicle was found on Avery's property, along with burned bones and teeth, and her car keys in Avery's room. We find Stephen Avery guilty of first-degree intentional homicide because the sheriff's department didn't investigate. The sheriff ordered the DA to convict Avery. Born March 22, 1980, Teresa was one of 5 siblings reared on the family dairy farm by Richard and Karen. When her father died when she was 8 years old, Karen remarried Richard's brother Thomas and raised their blended family. Teresa was an outdoorsy girl who wanted to work for National Geographic as a photojournalist. Friends describe her as having an uncanny ability to make everyone feel welcome. After graduating from the University of Wisconsin-Green Bay, she worked with Pierce Photography where she interned, and also started her own business, Photography by Teresa. Stephen phoned up Teresa to set up an appointment to take pictures of his sister's minivan, but according to records, she was last seen at 2:30 p.m. that day. Stephen's nephew Bobby claimed to the police he saw the car enter the scrapyard. Stephen was initially charged with a weapon violation as a convicted felon, but on November 11, 2005, he was formally charged with the murder of Teresa, kidnapping, sexual assault, and mutilation of a corpse. The blood found in the SUV matched Avery's, and Teresa's car keys were found in Avery's room. Stephen maintained his innocence, claiming that the police were trying to frame him. Stephen Avery, born July 9, 1962, in Manitowoc County, Wisconsin, was raised by his parents, Dolores and Alan, his 2 brothers Chuck and Earl, and his sister, Barbara. He dropped out of high school with an IQ of 70. Stephen was no stranger to the law. In 1981, he served 10 months for burglarizing a bar. A year later, he pleaded guilty to animal cruelty after pouring gasoline on his pet cat and throwing it into a bonfire. For this, he served another 9 months. In 1985, he threatened his cousin Sharon Morris by forcing her off the road and pointing a gun at her. He later claimed that he wanted her to stop spreading rumors. She filed a report stating that he exposed himself multiple times and was waiting in the front yard, but he was allowed bail and released after receiving a 6-year sentence. He was imprisoned for nearly 2 decades due to a case of mistaken identity. Penny Bernstein reported that she was attacked and assaulted on July 29, 1985, while walking along a beach near 2 rivers. Stephen was arrested and charged with Bernstein's attack after a state-appointed forensic official found a hair on Stephen's shirt that matched her description, despite 16 witness testimonies and a time-stamped receipt proving his assault location. Stephen received 32 years for attempted murder and rape. In 2001, Stephen contacted the Wisconsin Innocence Project, which took on the case and exonerated him in 2002 after DNA evidence proved his innocence. It was later discovered that Gregory Allen committed the crime, and he confessed to it in 1995. Authorities said Sheriff Deputy Thomas Kokurek received a call saying, "We already have the proper guy, and don't worry about it." Allen resembled Steve. Allen had committed a similar crime near Bernstein's attack and was under police surveillance, but he was not a suspect. After 18 years, Stephen went free on September 11, 2003. Allen was not even in the lineup. Stephen was the first of the Innocence Project's 174 exonerated criminals to be charged with a violent crime after being released. Aspiring filmmakers Laura Ricciardi and Maura Demo's 2015 Netflix documentary Making a Murderer sparked a media storm. The 10-year documentary examines Stephen Avery's case. The series follows Stephen's 1985 wrongful conviction, his exoneration, the civil lawsuit against Manitowoc County, and Stephen and Brendan's arrest for Teresa Halbach's murder. Critics and individuals directly associated with Teresa's case have both praised and criticized it. A petition with over 128,000 signatures was sent to the White House to pardon Stephen and Brendan, but it failed to change public opinion. The White House indicated that since the convictions were issued by a state court, the president had no jurisdiction to pardon either of the defendants. Stephen's immediate family has supported him and prayed for Teresa's genuine killer to be caught. Sandy GREENMAN, Stephen's ex-fiancée, is one. GREENMAN started a Facebook page to support and promote the case, calling him a model inmate. GREENMAN claimed that people take a weird joy in tarnishing Stephen's reputation, saying Stephen Avery has been violent all his life, which is untrue. Kim Kardashian has been using her influence to push for a fair justice system after discovering the case on social media. Her attention was aroused. She's made appeals to the governor, even though her influence holds no sway. However, she hasn't given up and hopes to achieve justice for both Brendan and Stephen. The other half feels Stephen is where he belongs. Teresa's aunt Giordana, her cousin-in-law Jeremy Fournier, and former Calumet County District Attorney Ken Krantz both said the show was one-sided. The filmmakers denied this and said that he refused to grant an interview to People magazine. Krantz claims the documentary omitted crucial facts, such as Stephen using a false name when calling Teresa, DNA that was belonging to Stephen that was found on the SUV's hood latch, and a ballistics report revealed that the bullet found in the garage was fired from a rifle owned by Stephen. She also claims that prior to her murder, Teresa visited the Avery residence, and when Stephen answered the door with only a towel on, she said that she wouldn't go back because she was scared. The documentary poked holes into the narrative of Stephen and Brendan's case by exposing allegations of police and prosecutorial misconduct, evidence tampering, and witness coercion. At the outset, Stephen called out the police for them. To prevent a conflict of interest, Stephen thought another violent crime would hurt his lawsuit. Manitowoc County gave Calumet County responsibility over the matter. However, Calumet may employ resources, including personnel from Manitowoc. The key in Stephen's room was found by a Manitowoc County Sheriff's deputy after several searches of the property. Another allegation was regarding the blood evidence found in the car. Stephen and his defense team believed it was blood from a previous conviction, which was supported by the defense claim that the vial containing Stephen's blood had been tampered with and had a puncture hole. The prosecution countered by analyzing the blood for a preservative not found in fresh human blood and finding none. Avery's defense team called in an expert who said it was impossible to discern if the negative result meant no preservative or that the testing method was inconclusive. The documentary highlighted Brenton Dacey's interrogation. Dacey was 16 years old when he was interrogated without a lawyer or parent, and both he and his mother consented to the interrogation. However, Brendan had an IQ of 73, making him intellectually challenged. Many have argued that his intellectual disability left him open to suggestions, especially when the reading technique was used. Brendan's previous lawyers, Dean Strang and Jerry Butting, have taken their newfound fame and moved on. Zellner hit the ground running when she joined Stephen's defense team and feels her client is innocent. She was a consultant for Johnny Depp's defense team throughout his trial. She first dismissed Joseph Evan Jr.'s confession when he claimed he killed Teresa and tried to frame her. Zellner called it a blatant publicity stunt. Evans previously tried to play snitch and produced a 9-page letter to media outlets alleging he had heard Stephen admit to the murder. But his story is not gaining traction as of August 2016. Zellner filed a motion demanding new scientific testing and was willing to pay for it to prove Stephen had been framed. 3 burn pits showed evidence of human remains being burned, including a pelvic bone fragment that was given to the halo as part of Teresa's remains. Allegedly, Zellner proved Teresa's remains were planted in Stephen's fire pit, but the defense didn't get to examine these bones since they weren't revealed to them. Zellner called this a Brady breach because essential criminal case material was not revealed in a timely manner. Zellner pursued justice with a new angle that could lead to a new culprit. An eyewitness has come forward, claiming to have seen Bobby being assisted by a much older person, In a written declaration, Thomas Sawinski said that while delivering newspapers, Bobby allegedly jumped out in front of his automobile to stop him. Thomas swerved to avoid him and proceeded on his morning route, saying that Bobby's eyes revealed he wasn't happy to see him after the SUV finding. Thomas understood the significance of the find and called the police. He told them what he had witnessed that morning, and their reaction was, "We already know who did it." He submitted his information, but he never heard back from Zellner. This contradicts the prosecution's major evidence. She's convinced Bobby's testimony is false if proven true. Zellner says the rejection of all significant evidence in favor of Stephen deprived him a fair chance to prove his innocence. Could Stephen be the scapegoat for a larger conspiracy? Is it all a scheme to disprove Stephen's claim of faulty police procedure? Or is Stephen a monster? Thanks for watching our murder mystery video. Remember, truth is often stranger than fiction. Subscribe for more true crime content. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and turn on the notification before leaving. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.